possess. He's someone we'd all like to know, someone we'd like to call friend, someone we could always count on. He lived his tragically shortened life to the fullest. He died making a huge difference. As one of his teammates put it so well, Rob Miller was the best Black Hawk Down partner you could possibly have. And that's the highest tribute a soldier could ever hope for. A life that, while too short, was a life of extraordinary measure. God bless the Miller family.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Robert Gates.
I'd like to note that before this ceremony, I had the opportunity to spend some time with the Miller family, and I am so impressed by their courage and their strength. Mr. and Mrs. Miller, just as you are proud of Rob, I know he would be extraordinarily proud of you and all of his brothers and sisters who've joined us today. The Medal of Honor was first authorized by President Lincoln in the early days of the Civil War, when our nation was beginning to write the bloodiest chapter in its history. Over the past century, it has gone only to the bravest of the brave, with fewer than 1,000 recipients out of the millions of Americans who have served in uniform during that time. It goes to those who demonstrate exceptional bravery in the face of enemy fire. But it also demands something more of an individual. The knowledge that by embarking on a course of action, losing one's life is not only possible, it is quite likely. Duty to one's country demands certain things, certain responsibilities. But this is something more. This is not simply answering the call of duty. This is truly above. This is truly beyond. Every evening I write notes to the families of young Americans, as I did to the Millers, who have given this country the supreme sacrifice. They are our country's best, the nation's sons and daughters, who answer the call of service to defend this country in a time of war. They answer what Theodore Roosevelt described as the trumpet call, which he said is the most inspiring of all sounds, because it summons men to spurn all ease and self-indulgence and bids them forth to the field where they must dare and do and die at need. Rob was one who answered that trumpet call, one who also possessed that extra measure of courage and determination to be at the very tip of the spear in America's wars. In Rob's case, that meant leaving college early to join the Special Forces, where he quickly earned the respect and trust of his fellow Green Berets. No small feat among that elite brotherhood of arms. And as we heard today, whenever his Special Forces team was given a particularly challenging mission, Rob would be the first to volunteer. At just 24 years old, Rob was the true embodiment of that special breed of warrior that he had long aspired to become. Rob's uncommon qualities, his intellect, curiosity, agility, and determination, were in demand and on display during his 2 tours in Afghanistan. Along with his renowned athleticism as a former gymnast, as has been said, Rob had a real affinity for languages. As John McHugh said, he even studied Latin in high school, a unique form of scholastic suffering avoided by all but the most dedicated. Rob quickly picked up Pashto while in Afghanistan, and because he spoke their language and learned their culture, he developed a bond with the local villagers. They respected and trusted this young American. Even as he was winning the trust of the local people, Rob never stopped being a warrior. And that is why, on that night in the rugged mountains of eastern Afghanistan, heavily outnumbered, mortally wounded, Rob charged ahead when he so easily could have taken cover. That is why he put the lives of his brothers in arms, Afghan and American, ahead of his own. And that is why they returned home, and he did not. I'll close with a favorite line of Rob's from Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. Rob is now known to history as one of those valiant. His name and his story belong to the ages. May God bless this brave young man, and may God grant peace of heart and soul to you, Maureen and Philip, and to the rest of your family.
Secretary McHugh, General Casey, Sergeant Major of the Army Preston, and Staff Sergeant Miller's parents, Philip and Maureen Miller, will now join the Secretary Gates on stage for the induction ceremony. The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress, has awarded in the name of Congress the Medal of Honor to Staff Sergeant Robert J. Miller, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Robert J. Miller distinguished himself by extraordinary acts of heroism while serving as the Weapons Sergeant in Special Forces Operational Detachment Alpha 3312, Special Operations Task Force 33, Combined Joint Special Operations Task Force Afghanistan, during combat operations against an armed enemy in Kannauр Province, Afghanistan on January 25, 2008. While conducting a combat reconnaissance patrol through the Goadesh Valley, Staff Sergeant Miller and his small element of U.S. and Afghan National Army soldiers engaged a force of 15 to 20 insurgents occupying prepared fighting positions. Staff Sergeant Miller initiated the assault by engaging the enemy positions with his vehicle's turret-mounted Mark 19 40mm automatic grenade launcher, while simultaneously providing detailed descriptions of the enemy positions to his command, enabling effective, accurate, close air support. Following the engagement, Staff Sergeant Miller led a small squad forward to conduct a battle damage assessment. As the group neared the small, steep, narrow valley that the enemy had inhabited, a large, well-coordinated insurgent force initiated a near ambush, assaulting from elevated positions with ample cover. Exposed and with little available cover, the patrol was totally vulnerable to enemy rocket-propelled grenades and automatic weapon fire. As point man, Staff Sergeant Miller was at the front of the patrol, cut off from supporting elements and less than 20 meters from enemy forces. Nonetheless, with total disregard for his own safety, he called for his men to quickly move back to covered positions as he charged the enemy over exposed ground and under overwhelming enemy fire in order to provide protective fire for his team. While maneuvering to engage the enemy, Staff Sergeant Miller was shot in his upper torso. Ignoring the wound, he continued to push the fight, moving to draw fire from over 100 enemy fighters upon himself. He then again charged forward through an open area in order to allow his teammates to safely reach cover. After killing at least 10 insurgents, wounding dozens more, and repeatedly exposing himself to withering enemy fire while moving from position to position, Staff Sergeant Miller was mortally wounded by enemy fire. His extraordinary valor ultimately saved the lives of 7 members of his own team and 15 Afghanistan National Army soldiers. Staff Sergeant Miller's heroism, selflessness, above and beyond the call of duty, and at the cost of his own life, are in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Army. The War on Terrorism plaque will now be unveiled, inducting Staff Sergeant Miller into the Hall of Heroes. At this time, the Secretary of Defense will present the Medal of Honor flag. On 23 October 2002, Public Law 107-248, Section 8143, established the Medal of Honor flag to recognize service members who have distinguished themselves by gallantry and action above and beyond the call of duty. The Medal of Honor flag commemorates the sacrifice and blood shed for our freedoms and gives emphasis to the Medal of Honor being the highest award for valor by an individual serving in the armed forces of the United States. The light blue color with gold fringe bearing 13 white stars are adapted from the Medal of Honor ribbon. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Philip Miller.
On behalf of Robert Miller, and on behalf of Maureen and my entire family, and on behalf of all his brothers in the Army Special Forces, we want to thank you as much as possible for the honor and recognition that we've had the past several days. It's been a wonderful experience, despite how he came about the news of it all, and we thank you very much. In the remarks we've been making to the media the past several weeks, we've been reminding everybody that Robert loved what he was doing very much. He was proven to be very good at what he was doing, and there's no question that he was confident that he was fighting and serving for a good cause. He was unapologetically patriotic. He was a normal kid growing up in the Chicago suburbs, in the home of John Belushi, and a very energetic kid who enjoyed being in mischief and being very active and following his passions and working very hard at what he wanted to do. He excelled at what he wanted to do, and my wife and I believe he is a great example of what America's youth can do and how well they can perform when they're given the responsibility and the opportunity to do so. We miss him terribly, but we know plenty of other friends and family members who've lost children, and we've learned to understand their pain, and we also appreciate the fact that many of this nation's warriors or people who serve the country will never receive the type of recognition that Rob is receiving and that we've been receiving on his behalf. We hope these events of the last several days and the Medal of Honor awards that are going to be presented in the near future will help bring some comfort and recognition to all the warriors of the armed services of the United States who've performed so well on behalf of all of us. With that, I'd just like to ask God to bless you all and God to bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing and join in the singing of the Army Song. The words to the Army Song can be found in your program.
First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the Army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the Army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the Army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the Army goes rolling along.
Ladies and gentlemen, please pause for a moment at your seats to allow the official party, family, and VIPs to exit the auditorium for the receiving line. This concludes today's ceremony. You're invited to greet Philip and Maureen Miller in the receiving line and to stay for a reception, both located outside the auditorium. Thank you.